The People's Republic of China, along with its language, has burst upon the global scene as a looming competitive financial commercial giant. An attention-grabbing headline on a front page of the Washington Post proclaimed, "China is voraciously scouring the commercial world for everything from oil to lumber. Business people are flocking to learn Chinese," increasingly heard in boardrooms and on executive junkets. Exports to China from the United States grew by a startling 400% between 2002 and 2008. People who can read Chinese are an important part of the picture, and there is money to be made. It is important to note at the outset that once it is understood that Chinese has nothing familiar to or compatible with other languages, one can settle down to learn spoken Chinese in about the same time that is required to learn any other foreign language. However, emphasis must be placed on the word spoken. With written Chinese, the story is different. So let us begin with a firm understanding that written Chinese is one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, written language systems in the world. Its complications have evolved from its origins to its newest form, layer upon layer of incongruous dots, lines, curves, and other imponderables for some 4,000 years. Until the last half of the 20th century, it required a mighty endeavor to decipher even the most simple of characters by visually scanning page upon page of miniature figures in large dictionaries organized without alphabets whatsoever, but only by stroke count and design configuration. As proof of these difficulties, even into the 1950s, a full 80% of the total population of China's 500 million people remained completely illiterate. Imagine the 1950s with an 80% illiteracy rate. Then came a revolutionary development called Pinyin. It is a Western type alphabet that has been used to spell the sound of each Chinese character. It constituted a revolution because the Chinese people, child and adult alike, all needed to be taught to spell character words for the very first time. They were taught to use an alphabetic dictionary, but it was not until as late as 1983, in fact, that Pinyin, the greatest change in Chinese writing in its entire 4,000-year history, was officially established. This development came just in time, for China was now ready to face the modern computer world with a compatible writing system that provided a character text that could be entered into and sorted by a computer. However, even today, in spite of a growing worldwide interest in and requirement for some knowledge of written Chinese, those who do not know Pinyin are still faced with the titan struggle of a dictionary confrontation, of hours of frustration to puzzle out the definition of even a single Chinese written word. These overwhelming facts have presented an unmet challenge until now. The subject of this demonstration is a patented invention, Read Chinese Characters in Seconds, that has come to save the day. This software, unlike anything else that has ever been seen, reads the character directly from the character picture itself. Therefore, anyone, even those who know nothing about Chinese, can translate a character in just a few seconds. So, how does this work? This software is revolutionary because it is a result of a discovery that all Chinese characters, no matter how complicated they might look, contain one or more of the few common symbols shown on the left side of this screen. These symbols have been specifically devised for this patent and are translated into common, picturesque English words. These symbols are not only few in number, but they are well organized, and they are easy to remember. First, there are 12 letters, all common to the English alphabet, and all conveniently and permanently available at the left side of the screen. These begin with B, E, and F and work their way through a few skips and jumps down to X, Y, and Z. That's it. Nothing hard there. Next, there are 3 numbers, 4, 5, and 7. No problem there either. Finally, there are 24 visuals. They are called visuals because they look like what their own assigned distinctive name says they are. For example, the user will probably remember, even from this first brief look at the list, such visuals as kite, lantern, and especially monster. They do make a visual impact. Just a look, and they all become hard to forget. Because the software is so user-friendly, there is an instruction box that always points the way at each step. The first instruction to be read directs the user to bring to the computer a Chinese character to be translated. So let's begin with the simple Chinese character that looks like a small child's rendering of the symbol tree. The user has the tree look-alike character on hand and wants to know what it means in English. Remember, the user, probably someone who knows little or nothing about Chinese writing, has seen the character that looks like the symbol tree in a book, a dictionary, or somewhere else, and has decided to translate it using the new Chinese software. In other words, the unknown character is probably staring back at the user from some paper outside of the computer. For this demonstration, however, the character that looks like the symbol tree has now been intruded onto the screen so that we won't be working in a vacuum. Now that the user has settled upon the character to be translated, the next instruction directs the user to select a mode. There are many modes available in the software. In fact, the program not only reads Chinese characters in several different modes, but it browses. It plays games and does almost magical things in presenting other helpful details. For now, however, the emphasis is on the standard mode that allows any novice to look at any one of nearly 10,000 character pictures and to find its meaning in just a few seconds. The next instruction directs the user to first the tree view and then the My Selections box. The tree view is located just below the mode box and to the left of the instruction box. The My Selections box is located to the right of the instruction box. The tree view and the My Selections boxes are the heart of the program and work in tandem with one another. The tree view shows all the symbols available in the standard mode. It is shown here with first the letters, then the numbers, and finally the visual symbols. The user scans the tree view to find one or more symbols that is also displayed in the target character. Seeing nothing of interest in either the letter or number symbols, the user scans down to the visual symbols and notes that both a curve and a pole can be found in the target character. Continuing the scan shows, however, that farther down the list of visual symbols is one called tree that exactly matches the target character. Well, good enough. The user double-clicks the tree symbol name and the symbol tree automatically appears in the My Selections box. Now the user approaches the question of counting strokes. The Chinese have been counting character strokes for centuries, stroke by stroke, as they use their ancient method of following the tips of their writing brushes. The system is embedded in their nature, having been learned from early childhood year upon year in the interminable school lessons. Either they sit at their desks scrutinizing each stroke as they memorize the character's configuration, or they stand at attention in their classroom with their hands thrust behind their backs as an aid to concentration. Stroke counting therefore makes eminent sense to them. Without the benefit of intensive training, however, stroke counting might initially seem quite foreign to the Western mind. It is at this point that the system, read Chinese characters in seconds, now lives up to its reputation as being user-friendly. The system provides a hand-holding dollop of help in the form of a simple lesson in stroke counting called "Don't Be Spooked by Strokes." Instant help may be reached by clicking the question mark that stands in prominence next to the stroke menu. In the present example, however, help will not be needed because counting the strokes in this target character is quite simple. If a Western user, even a young child, were to be asked to copy the symbol tree, it would simply be done as follows: 1 horizontal stroke, 1 vertical stroke, and 2 curves to form the branches. For once at least, East and West have a complete meeting of the minds in stroke counting. Next, the 4-stroke number just counted in the target character is to be placed in the stroke box that is located just to the right of the My Selections box. The stroke box has a drop-down menu that presents a choice of stroke counts between 0 and 70. Luckily, we have needed only to count 4 strokes for this target character. Therefore, click the number 4 to place the count in the stroke box. The next instruction tells the user to click a range number. But because, as we have just seen, the strokes for this particular target character are actually quite easy to count. Therefore, the operational range number that normally works as a sort of, "oh, just in case I'm not correct in my count fudge factor," need not be selected. Now the user has reached the final stage of locating the target character that looks like the symbol tree. That is, the Get Word button. So click the Get Word button and watch the instant magic. The screen changes to present the user with just one character that reflects the input criteria for the symbol tree when it has 4 strokes. Wow! And points the user toward the translation box. The translation box is the payoff for the chosen target character. First, it shows the pinyin. The phonetic pinyin sound of the character is spelled MU. The number 1 that follows the pinyin MU shows that this particular character means that the target represents the first of 16 distinctively different character pictures, each of which is pronounced with exactly the same pinyin phonetic spelling. MU. Why are there 16 different characters all pronounced with MU? It is because there are only 37 sounds in the entire Chinese language. This small number must be worked and reworked to yield 400 monosyllabic combinations that form all of the 40,000 words of the language. It takes a bit of meditation upon this strange fact before one comes to grips with something akin to an understanding of the differences and the complexities of the Chinese language. The next line in the translation box shows the number of strokes in the target character, in this case 4. The next entry designates the target character's tone. MU is sounded in the fourth of the four song-like tones as mu. Tones are an intricate part of the Chinese language. Each word has its own unique character picture and is further modified by being spoken in one of the four song-like tones. The combination of a unique picture and its tonal modification, when combined with the context in which the character is used, defines which one of many different possible words is intended. To pronounce a word without using its proper tone would lead to utter chaos. Not to muddy the waters too much nor to go too far afield, using a different character picture but the same fourth tone, mu, could also mean pasture, canvas, friendly, cemetery, or to bathe, and the list goes on. Yes, tones hold a critically important place in the language. The next two translation box entries show the English translation and parts of speech of the target character. Mu may be translated either as the adjectives insensitive or numb, or as the nouns timber, tree, or wood. It is up to the user to decide which one of the several translations will be the most appropriate. When the user is ready to find the translation of a different target character, simply click the new search button that is tucked away at the upper right corner of the screen. The user will now move forward from translating a simple character to a demonstration of how easy it is also to translate a truly complicated-looking character. Generally, the user will have in hand, outside of the computer, the character to be translated. Now, however, for the purpose of this demonstration, the example character is placed on the right side of the screen to serve as a handy reference. The first step is to choose some of the character's symbols. The user wisely decides to select one or more symbols that will represent each section of the character. The user chooses staple to represent the character's top, tree, and woman to represent the character's left side, and finally, pointer to represent the lower right side of the character. A different user might have chosen other symbols. The important point, however, is that any symbol that is a part of the character will be accepted by the software. It is a matter of personal choice on the part of the user. The next step is to double-click each of the symbol names, staple, tree, pointer, and woman, to place them in the My Selections box. Now the user comes face to face with the need to count strokes in a complicated-looking character. Don't sigh. There really is no problem. Remember that the aim and purpose of this user-friendly software is to do away with complications. A new user may simply take his best shot at counting, then fill in the guesswork by selecting a plus or minus range number. A user who counted 20 strokes in the target character way would be right on the mark. If unsure, as most would have a good reason to be at this point, just use the drop-down range menu and add 1 or 2 or so strokes to the overall count. However, in this case, the user is relatively comfortable with a range number of 0. Therefore, the 0 is left unchanged. Now comes the most important step. Click the Get Word button and another minor miracle takes place. There are only 2 characters that fit the criteria of symbols and stroke count that were entered by the user. The second one is that of the target character. Click the small picture of the target character to place it in the enlarged picture box and to point the way to the translation box. The Chinese would enthusiastically say, "不错." Not bad. Not bad at all. First in line is the Pinyin translation WEI. The postscript number 42 that follows WEI means that there are 42 or more different and distinct character pictures that answer to the same Pinyin spelling WEI. The translation continues to show that WEI has 20 strokes, is in the first tone, and therefore is pronounced way and is translated as the adjective high and lofty. High and lofty is a fine character translation for the user who, at this point in his accomplishment, has every reason to feel not only high and lofty, but quite smug as well. At this point, the user has traveled from an unknown Chinese written picture and has succeeded in discovering a full explanation of the character's pinyin, stroke count, tone, English translation, and part of speech. With a bit more know-how, the required time will be speeded up to 2 or 3 seconds, or as fast as the keys can be tapped. The important thing to remember is that no matter how complicated a character may look, it can always be broken down into one or just a few common symbols of the user's choice. Therefore, in this system, although it is a startling fact that any character can be found in just a few seconds, it is even more startling to realize that this minor miracle can be accomplished by anyone, even those who know nothing about Chinese. The last programming technique to be considered is the translation bin. It is a remarkable, highly praised, and greatly appreciated addition to the Read Chinese Characters in Seconds software. It solves the nasty problem manifested by the nature of Chinese characters, in which a combination of one character with a second character seems to change the entire meaning of everything it meets. One example of this can be taken from the two characters Dongxi. Dong, when used alone, means the direction east. Xi, when used alone, has the meaning of the direction west. Place the two characters together and Dongxi means things. Presumably, if one collects all the known articles incorporated in the far-flung east and west of the globe, one is presented logically with the noun things. This might be a little difficult to fathom until the user stops to think of the fact that every word in the entire Chinese language is literally composed of a voluminous collection of words of just one single syllable. Therefore, every one of the limited number of Chinese single-syllable words must be called upon over and over again to make new words in different combinations. The new word is usually far removed from the definition of each of its parent words. The mystery of the unrelated nature of these combined words is easily figured out in the Read Chinese Characters in Seconds translation bin. So let's hurry through the translation of Dong and Xi to see the marvels of this phenomenon. First, in the usual manner of employing the standard mode, find the target character that is shown on the right side of the screen. To do so, go to the tree view and double-click on the symbol names for and pointer to transfer these symbols to the My Selections box. Place the number 5 in the stroke box, click the Get Word button. The target character is the first of 8 characters that meets the selected criteria. Double-click the small picture of the target character to enlarge it and to read its translation. Pinyin, Dong, 5 strokes, first tone, meaning east. The user now clicks a downward pointing arrow to open a translation bin to receive the character Dong that was just translated. Next comes the translation of the character she. To locate the second character to place in the translation bin, click the new search button and choose the symbols mouth-filled and R that are found in the second target character that is now intruded as a reference onto the right side of the screen. Add the number 6 to the stroke box. When the second character has been translated, use the downward pointing arrow to add the translated she character to the dong character that already resides in the translation bin. The difference this time is that the translation advice box in the lower right corner lights up in yellow with the word data and shows a number 1 beneath the notice. The number 1 designates the first translation bin match. Click the yellow data box. A new information box now opens on the bottom left of the screen. This is a composite translation box that informs the user that the words dongxi have yielded a third meaning of things. As clever as the use of the translation bin is, in some circumstances it may be bypassed for an even shorter method, such as when the user is faced with what appears to be a phrase, such as the name of an organization, or even a philosophical quotation. For example, find the translation for the phrase that is shown at the right side of the screen. Oh my, that looks imposing. No matter, let's do it. First, select in turn each of the 2 prominent symbols to be found in the first character. These are the symbols pole plus 2 lines and heart. Next, add the count of 31 that reflects the total number of strokes in the entire phrase. Of course, 31 is a large number of strokes to be counted accurately, and the higher the count number, the possibility of inaccuracy increases. But try it with 31 strokes first, and if you are not satisfied with the results, add 1 stroke to the range box and try again. But this demonstration is satisfied with the count of 31, so click the Get Word button. There are 5 results that answer to the symbol and stroke criteria. The target character phrase is number 5. Click the small picture of the target character to place the phrase in the enlarged picture box. There it is in all its glory, entirely translated in just a few seconds. The phrase reads, 志同道合, and means 2 minds with but a single thought. This demonstration has taken the user on a swift journey, beginning with a translation of the simplest of Chinese characters and continuing to that of the most complex multiple phrases. Only the rudiments of the program are shown here, but it should also be kept in mind that there are more sophisticated aspects of the system that have not been exposed. For example, on a lighter note, there is game playing. These include stories and projects for children, adult word games, and suggestions for developing board games. More studiously, however, there is a multiple mode that locates what would have been the most difficult and otherwise hard to find characters that may seem deceptively simple but are actually mathematically complex, such as the character with 3 squares piled one upon the other to form a triangle. There is a powerful browser in which the more studious can lose themselves among the complex intricacies of the Chinese language. There is a quick advanced mode featuring other easy-to-remember convenient symbols, and there is an even quicker write-in mode that bypasses several steps in the standard process. There is a user-generated mode for users who need to add the specialized vocabularies of their own technical disciplines, and a first time ever and anywhere compilation and computer sorting of those important, complex, and elusive noun modifiers called measure words. They are not even listed in any Chinese dictionaries. But nonetheless, these measure words are completely embedded in the grammar and the culture of the Chinese language. Although the list of attributes is already lengthy, there is still one other addition of a commercially important value that should not be overlooked. The Read Chinese Characters in Seconds software can be adapted to accept other character picture systems, such as Japanese kanji, and can translate all picture characters into any world language, be it Spanish, French, Russian, and the lengthy list goes on. Every student and professional in every college, university, military, and civilian language school will be clamoring to own Read Chinese Characters in Seconds. There are other important things to remember. Read Chinese Characters in Seconds takes the translation directly from the character itself, provides a computer character text that can be copied with the swipe of a mouse into such software programs as Word and Excel, and can be used by anyone, absolutely anyone. No prior knowledge of characters or pinyin is needed.